The final act in the play, that is how Inspector Mark Phillips made this man here, Ronan Flynn's extradition warrant, disappear. Now we have, this is video number 4, Inspector Mark Phillips Lies, Omissions and Perjury. So in the previous 3 videos, we've covered the interactions Ronan with Garda Síochána. We know them met him initially in August 2017 when it appears there was no word of an extradition warrant and it wasn't on the table at the time. In October 2017, we have shown that Mr. Phillips has told us that Homeland Security became aware of this extradition warrant, and this is when things probably got a little bit tricky for the intrepid members of Garda Síochána. And I suppose for that short period of time, there was a situation where the extradition warrant was getting in the way of the coercion of Ronan. So I'm just going to bring up here. So then the second, from current slide. So the second slide they're going to bring up here, we're going to show, so in October 2017, when the extradition warrant became part of Ronan's case in America, in fact, Inspector Phillips told us that he was advised that the warrant would be executed prior to any interview. That obviously, that means Ronan could not be interviewed by a member from Garda Síochána until his extradition warrant, or immigration issue, as Mr. Phillips so politely put it. But then, on the same day, Inspector Phillips and Paul Gill, who was very well known to Ronan Flynn, he was there at the arrest of Ronan Flynn when Ronan was caught with drugs in Carlingford, and subsequently prosecuted him for drugs for sale, for providing drugs illegally. And then again, on Garda Síochána, were allowed to interview Ronan again in the 47th precinct. So obviously we've shown that the 2 statements can't sit side by side, because they're, well, indeed, in fact, both of them are lies. But notwithstanding that, so the plot thickens then. Once they became aware in America, the Americans became aware of the extradition warrant. This is what happened. The extradition section in Dublin Castle, NCBI in Dublin, contacted Pat Marry with 7 other warrants, we are led to believe. And Pat Marry had to look through these warrants. And a eureka moment for the Gardaí in Dundalk. They realised that one of these warrants belonged to Ronan Flynn. So if you can believe that or not. Then we have Mr. Marry gets his sidekick from America, Homeland Security agent Matt Katske, who we've covered in numerous videos with his illegal activities with all the other criminals there was deals done with in America to tell lies against Aaron. So Pat Marry, Matt Katske and Sergeant Kieran Reidy, between them, we're going to say coerced or in some way forced Tommy Eccles, the man who Ronan Flynn attacked in a public house in the Cooley Peninsula. They got this man to withdraw his complaint against Ronan Flynn. That was the first step in eradicating the extradition warrant. So that's where we are at the moment. We've brought it up to this stage, and now we're going to come to the eureka moment, the abracadabra moment, and we'll see how these criminals, Mark Phillips, Pat Marry, Matt Katske, Paul Gill and Kieran Reidy, made the extradition warrant disappear. So we're just moving on now to, So we're just going to go over this paragraph here again. We have covered it once before, but we'll take it from here. We know where we are. So this is where the final act of making the warrant disappear. The correspondence received from the solicitor on the instructions of Tommy Eccles was forwarded to the DPP, who advised that the statement of withdrawal of his complaint taken from Tommy Eccles on the 31st of January 2018, Detective Sergeant Reidy met with Tommy Eccles and recorded a statement in writing from him. This statement was forwarded to the DPP, who directed on the 8th of February 2018 that the prosecution and the application for the extradition of Ronan Flynn be withdrawn. I don't think anyone who has any concept of what law and what the right way to do things is can see quite clearly. This is simply unacceptable. And just to retrace the first little bit of that extraordinary work by our intrepid detectives, we have here, so I'm just going to read this out quickly again. The correspondence received from the solicitors on the instructions of Tommy Eccles was forwarded to the DPP, who advised that a statement of withdrawal of his complaint be taken from Tommy Eccles. So the letter we had shown previously, this letter here is dated in December. That's from Dermot Lavery. So that's dated the 14th of December. So that was sent to the DPP, and this letter here is telling the Garda Síochána that Tommy Eccles, via his solicitor, is withdrawing the complaint. Now, the DPP, to cover themselves, needed a formal Garda statement to cover themselves that Tommy Eccles had withdrawn the statement. So this is what Kieran Reidy came up with. Here we have it up here, and you can see it's dated the 31st of January. Like, this is fucking disgusting work that's going on here. And anyone who wants to see this paperwork, if you just send us an email, we'll forward all the relevant documents to you. The affidavit from Neil Manley, Aaron's then solicitor, the signed statement from Mark Phillips, and the relevant attachments here, these statements and the solicitor's letter. So here we have Kieran Reidy, Garda Kieran Reidy, further to my solicitor's letter on the 14th of December, which I've just shown you, 2017, concerning my assault complaint against Ronan Flynn, I wish to state that I now wish to withdraw my complaint. This statement has been read over to me and is correct. Like, there is no way we can accept that this is how a European arrest warrant and an extradition warrant is totally erased. It's just absolutely, well, it's gut-wrenching and sickening for us, obviously. But to see it done here on paper and in black and white, and not a word about it in our mainstream media, who are fully aware of this carry-on. And obviously, on Garda Síochána, Mark Phillips hasn't contacted us in respect of us questioning these actions and these events. There's been no response from any official body who are fully aware of the shenanigans that went on to eradicate Ronan Flynn's extradition warrant. And that was eradicated, and Ronan Flynn was deemed to be a suitable witness against our son in capital murder case. So this letter on the 8th of February, that the prosecution and the application for the extradition of Ronan Flynn be withdrawn. On the 9th of February 2018, the Office of Director of the Public Prosecution informed the US authorities that the extradition request in respect of Ronan Flynn had been withdrawn. Now, we really have to sit and contemplate what is actually after happening on the 9th of February 2018. How, and we cannot get the paperwork to see how Homeland Security and the American authorities were compliant in erasing an extradition warrant. Very serious extradition warrant. If pushed to the letter of the law, Ronan Flynn could have faced up to 20 years in prison for such a serious assault, on top of his drugs charges. So, like, we have shown continually through over our 500 videos the disgusting behaviour. And it just gets worse and worse and worse. And we told you way back 4.5 years ago that we would give an outline of what was happening, and that we'd had to dig down deeper into each paragraph. And we promise you every paragraph that is of relevance to the conviction of Aaron. Every paragraph. We promise you every paragraph. We can contradict it, and we can prove it is lies, whether it's CCTV footage, whether it's statements by criminals, drug dealers, paedophiles, and illegal immigrants, if it's statements of eyewitnesses who've seen the people who murdered Detective Garda Agent Donoghue, if it's the physical evidence left at the scene, we can show that that contradicts the fact that our son is in prison for something he physically could not have done. These few lines, this paragraph, is tantamount to all sorts of criminality orchestrated by this man. All sorts of criminality. And would you believe it does get worse? On the 30th of November 2017, Ronan Flynn met with Inspector Mark Phillips and Sergeant Paul Gill in New York in relation to an inquiry being conducted. Arrangements for this meeting was arranged by Homeland Security Investigations. Ronan Flynn agreed to the meeting. That short paragraph there, we can only assume, we're guessing here now, but they were just getting rid of Ronan's extradition warrant, so that's why that meeting was flagged. And you see only those little traces of these meetings in certain parts of the paperwork. We would never have known about it. And it's just sloppy work by the guards in covering up their corruption, collusion and coercion. It's sloppy work by them because they never thought anyone was going to investigate this. They thought they were going to get away, sail off into the sunset with Ronan. That's exactly what they thought was going to happen. On the 22nd of January 2018, Ronan Flynn met with Sergeant Paul Gill and Detective Andy Barron in New York in relation to an inquiry being conducted. Arrangements for this meeting was arranged by Homeland Security Investigation. Ronan Flynn agreed to this meeting. Again, this is when the deals were being done. This may very well be when Ronan's sister, Emma Jane, got her 10-year visa. That's when they were striking deals like this. This is when Ronan was trying to get his cousin to give false statements against Aaron and James Flynn and Eugene Flynn. You can get a green card, you can come and go from America as often as you like. We've shown that. We can assume that the bargaining and brokering was going on to get more criminals or more people involved in telling lies. We do not have the full details of these meetings. These are meetings with witnesses. The defence team, Aaron, is fully entitled to all of the notes and the recordings of these meetings. But all that was denied Aaron. His human rights have been trampled all over continuously. So the last few bits. On the 4th of December 2018, Ronan Flynn met with Mark Phillips and Sergeant Paul Gill in New York. Arrangements for this meeting was arranged by Homeland Security Investigation. Ronan Flynn agreed to this meeting. The purpose of this meeting was to serve a witness order and accompanying correspondence to Ronan Flynn. So this is December 2018. Okay, so we've moved on a year from 2017 at the start of the extradition warrant disappearing, right through. So Ronan was served a witness order. They were bringing Ronan Flynn as a witness. They thought he was going to be a credible witness, and they thought he was going to get through the scrutiny of the Bradys. But when they found out that Ronan had spoken to, we had done our investigations, we had given information to Aaron's legal team, they spoke with Ronan Flynn. As soon as the guards found out about that, they created a shitstorm and released the videos of Ronan being interviewed by Mark Phillips. Not being interviewed, being led by Mark Phillips. We've shown that. The videos themselves show that. Ronan's not given a statement, he's been led by Mark Phillips. On the 23rd of July 2019, Ronan Flynn met with Inspector Mark Phillips and Sergeant Paul Gill in New York. Arrangements for this meeting was arranged by Homeland Security Investigations. Ronan Flynn agreed to this meeting. I'm not sure why that bit is redacted, but that's the official paperwork that was redacted by Mark Phillips. So, obviously, this meeting was in respect of this next paragraph we're going to bring up here. Inspector Phillips became aware in June 2018 that Ronan Flynn was arrested in the United States of America in relation to drugs offences. There are no further details available to Garda Síochána in respect of this arrest of Ronan Flynn. Read this again, folks. I know we have to repeat this stuff, but it is just so unbelievable. This is Mark Phillips. Inspector Phillips became aware in June 2018 that Ronan Flynn was arrested in the United States of America in relation to drugs offences. Mark Phillips tells us there are no further details available to Garda Síochána in respect of the arrest of Ronan Flynn. So this man here expects us to believe all these dealings with Homeland Security, they've made an extradition warrant disappear. Homeland Security and the American authorities have agreed to it. The extradition warrant has disappeared at this stage. Ronan Flynn's caught with drugs in America, and this man here is trying to tell us that he doesn't know anything about it. There's no details. He's a fucking liar. Mark Phillips is a total liar, and that is tantamount. This is signed off by Mark Phillips here at the bottom, as you can see. He is saying this. This is perjury. He's lying to the court. Mark Phillips knew this affidavit was going to be presented to Judge Michael White. That man there is telling nothing fucking lies. He's a liar. He's a dirty, rotten liar who told lies to secure a false conviction against our son. And at some stage, someone in this country in authority is going to have to pose questions to these people for what they've done. This man here has allowed the murderer of his colleague and I believe friend to walk free. Because the man who shot and murdered Detective Garda Adrian Donoghue is not in prison. And he knows it. He knows it. Well, at least he has delivered it every morning and every evening. Before he closes his eyes and when his eyes open in the morning. I don't know whether it bothers these people or not. It obviously doesn't. But he knows the man he has framed, our son, did not kill Detective Garda Adrian Donoghue. And this is Phillips's final statement. I understand that Ronan Flynn at this time has status to continue to reside in the United States of America. He is married to a United States citizen. He has an American-born child. So, is there anyone, all the trolls and all the people out there, the likes of Damien Delaney, Big Stones, all these nuisance or trolls or whatever they are, can you explain to us how Ronan Flynn got American citizenship? He's a drug dealer, got caught in Ireland. He seriously assaulted a man and put him in hospital. He absconded from Ireland. He had an extradition warrant, a European arrest warrant. That was made disappear. He's caught with drugs at least once in the United States of America. We know that this was a big haul with a mate of his that's originally from Galway. We'll go into more detail on that later on, if Ronan still continues not to come forward. We believe he may have some other drug charges in America. And as far as we are aware, we stand to be corrected, Ronan and Mark Phillips and Matt Katske and Pat Murray. Some of the men that was caught with Ronan with the drugs went to penitentiary, went to jail. Ronan was allowed to walk around the streets of New York, and all he had to do was what's known as a piss test, a urine test every week, every couple of weeks. So this is where we stand at this moment in time in relation to this extradition warrant for Ronan Flynn. Ronan Flynn and the Flynn family can turn this case into turmoil for these people if they wish to do so. because the evidence and the information Ronan has in relation to Daniel Cahill is new evidence and proves that Daniel Cahill purged himself during the course of his testimony in Aaron's trial. So that's how far-reaching this whole thing is. So that's the abracadabra moment when Mark Phillips, Pat Marry, Paul Gill, Agent Katske, and indeed the entire incident room in the Dundalk Garda Station, the Garda Station where Adrian Donoghue worked, the people he worked with, his so-called friends like Darren Kerwin, who played football with him and all this, and these people are standing over what I have shown you here this evening and in all the other videos. So there's a little bit more to break down in respect of the extradition warrant, and then we'll introduce some of the voice recordings and some more text messages we have with Ronan, and we'll show you again how Ronan was attacked and assaulted on the streets in New York by other members of An Garda Síochána. So on the strength of what we've witnessed here this evening, we are asking you please like, comment and share. And those of you who are following Aaron's campaign will have seen, I think someone made a comment, that they were afraid to share because of the repercussions. And unfortunately, that is the society and the state we live in, where your free speech or your expression on any given topic can be censored or frowned upon, or you can be punished for that. But the only way to fight against that is for people to continue to share. So if you share, next person shares, ask your friend to share, and some of those people in your peer group, they share. This can't go on. It is simply not acceptable. So we'll continue to keep you updated. We'll finish off with the extradition warrant that disappeared and bring you more detail and more information surrounding the illegality of all that. So once again, thank you for watching. As I say, please like, comment, share. We need to get our own story out there so we can put pressure on those who can overturn this horrendous miscarriage of justice. So thank you once again for watching, and we'll see you all in the next video. Thank you.